So Warner Brothers is telling you that Fantastic Beasts is definitely done, to the point that they're trying to ghost the franchise and pretend that it never existed. Now, you can tell that this move is them trying to get away from controversy, too. You know, the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller. You just had him sentenced in court. And remember, Warner Brothers chose this path. They decided to make Ezra Miller the face of the franchise, while unceremoniously firing JD back in November 2020. Now, they want to get away from that franchise in any way possible, to the point that they're talking about not only shelving these movies, which I think says quite a bit, but they're talking about selling them elsewhere, as in a place that Warner Brothers doesn't own. And this isn't the only thing that tells you Fantastic Beasts is done. Even actors that are attached to this, actors that should know what is happening, are telling you, we don't know what's going on. We haven't been informed of anything. And I mean, really think about that. No script. You're ghosting movies. The actors, they're not being prepared for it, meaning they're not filming anything right now. Yeah, that says a lot, and there's so much more. You and I, we're going to talk about it today. Fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. All right, so hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. I hope you are doing excellently. Man, Fantastic Beasts, I mean, it is bombed as a franchise, and it's amazing. If you go back, you trace what happened, it goes to their decision to can JD, to put Ezra Miller front and center. I mean, this new news comes right after Ezra Miller was sentenced. Check this video out. It's about a minute long.
That you've heard those facts that the prosecutor has outlined here.
That's right.
Okay. Do you agree to those facts?
I do.
So you agree that when you went to that property in Stamford, Mr. Winokur's property, that you knew that at some point that you weren't able to go onto the property, that there was notice provided you beforehand that you didn't have permission to enter that property?
Yes.
Okay. And despite that, you were there on that property?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So to that count here, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Okay. The other provisions here is that the probation, it would be a $500 fine of what you would be, what the court would impose on this unlawful trespass, as well as an administrative probation of 89 to 90 days, which means that it's suspended with probation. And so long as you're on probation for the 1 year and complete the conditions successfully, the case is closed.
Now, right when that happened, you had a renewed conversation about Ezra Miller being the face of Fantastic Beasts as a franchise, how he got there, by replacing JD. And this controversy, it's one that they don't want tied to commodities, especially since they're trying to rehab Ezra Miller's image. Now, this sparked a lot of panic behind the scenes, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations about what could be done, because remember, Ezra Miller is a big-time investment. They've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in him with The Flash. They're investing in Super Bowl commercials. So instead of getting rid of the man, what they've decided to do is ghost a franchise. I mean, again, they're trying slowly, little by little, to pretend this thing it never happened. And they start by removing the pieces that are the most controversial, particularly part 2. Now, this move is scheduled for January the 31st. And what's particularly telling about this is that we're talking about Warner Brothers properties here, meaning they can put them on their streaming services. These additions, they don't cost them anything. So it's pretty much a free-for-all. They already invested their money. They could show this as an entire series to people, getting them invested in it, especially if you were talking about a fourth. But instead of doing that, they removed the first 2 movies. They're going to keep up the third. And they're talking about possibly renting this out to other platforms that aren't Warner Brothers platforms. So again, they're not only removing this stuff and shelving it, but they're trying to get it away from their brand. And something that kind of shocked me about this is that even the shill media for Warner Brothers, the one that goes to bat for them again and again, is admitting that Fantastic Beasts is done. They're telling you there are no prequel films that are being filmed. They've moved on with this stuff. I mean, listen to what they have to say here. And they quote Eddie Redmayne as part of this. Quote, "What's next for the Harry Potter franchise? Despite possibly continuing the OG franchise, Warner Brothers is not currently developing any additional films in the Fantastic Beasts prequel series. Fantastic Beasts was initially planned as a 5-film series. However, the studio was reportedly debating giving films 4 and 5 the green light based on number 3, The Secrets of Dumbledore. That is the worst grossing film of the entire Wizarding World franchise. So anything Harry Potter related, that came in at the bottom. And even Ray Redmayne, again, who plays the protagonist in the Fantastic Beasts film, says he's uncertain about the series' future. When he was asked if he had any information about the Fantastic Beasts 4 movie, he said, quote, "It's more a question of J.K. Rowling and director David Yates and Warner's. I don't know. I'm afraid. I can't add to that. I love playing Newt. He's a sweet man." Now, as far as other big names are concerned that are attached to the Fantastic Beasts series, David Yates, whom Eddie Redmayne just noted, he's moved on. He's been doing other things that are not connected to Fantastic Beasts. If you're going to have a sequel, of course, that would already be in development. So you can tell that's not going to be made anytime soon. Plus, the scripting that is always done back to back. You have one written before the other one is even done. That hasn't been written at all. This is according to David Heyman, who produced the Harry Potter films as well as the Fantastic Beasts series. He was asked last year, this standstill by the way, if Newt might be visiting Japan next. He said, well, we haven't yet started writing the next film, so we'll have to see. If I have my way, he will be definitely going to Japan. So, when you see that, they're telling you a lot more than they meant to let on, namely that they're not making any more movies. Again, this franchise, it is done. What really tells you about this franchise, though, is Warner Brothers themselves. Currently, Warner Brothers is in dire disarray. They need any money that they can bring in at all, but instead of letting movies they own set on HBO Max, they've decided to ghost those things. Again, making them go away. When you look at Warner Brothers too, they are not in a position where they can afford these kind of decisions. You have places talking about don't buy their stock. Why? Well, Warner Brothers, they are loaded with debt, as in $50 billion right now. They're not making profits anymore. Those profits are declining. So yeah, anywhere you can find money, that's something that they would want, and yet they make this decision. Again, they want to move forward with Ezra Miller. They want to move forward with Harry Potter, but Fantastic Beasts, because of its controversy, it's done. But anyway, let me know what you think about this stuff. And as always, appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff work. Can't say enough about that. Thank you. Want to help out the channel too? Links are in the description. Appreciate you checking those out as well. Going to end here. Thanking you again too. See you soon.